Next, y'all, I'm not going to jump to a commercial. I want to talk about a situation that kind of ties into this. That was about growth and increase of the playing population. So if you guys don't know, my guy, Mick Fealey, a friend of the show, has been a guest on the show, done the interviews with him multiple times over. And he's been a massive advocate of the importance of developing grassroots rugby, not simply just for the sake of sociability, but that the business model for rugby is contained through the ownership in the grassroots. So what you make goes back into the community because it's used by the community, that cycles the money out, that allows self-investment to essentially happen, and then is being able to use as a data piece for bringing in others, investors, sponsors, etc., like that. But if you do not have that initial subset, it doesn't count. And he's also always argued that the numbers have been a little bit finagly, a little bit shenanigans when it comes to the amount of attention and participation and involvement that goes into rugby. And so he was on LinkedIn. He was made a really great comment that I felt like was good to be able to talk about on this one. And I'm going to read it off. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and pull this up real quick and read it off to you guys on it, because I thought this was a phenomenal look. So essentially what he said was, okay, so this is what he wrote. He wrote, recently, USA Rugby Youth and High School announced passing 50,000 members. For some perspective, USA Youth Soccer had 4.42 million participants in 2018. At a land area of 3.797 million square miles contained within the United States borders, that equates to just over one youth rugby player per 76 square miles. Just under 2 youth soccer players per square mile, and 3, roughly 140 to 1 ratio. He said, continues to go, I saw a YouTube video last week where the host talked about the USA having as many, if not more, rugby clubs, approximately 2,700 versus approximately 2,500 than England. The problem is that we are not comparing apples to apples. Most of the clubs in England have multiple teams, including youth and women's sections built in, even with recent decreases in adult male club participants. In the USA, these clubs are all separate, give or take a handful, that collaborate under a single umbrella, but are individually registered to various unions and leagues as required. Basically saying that there's an inflation on the US side versus what would be in the UK. I said this years ago, but it bears repeating. Simply put, we have too few players playing too little rugby too far apart. The solution is we need more people playing more and better rugby closer together. Just an interesting way of looking at it. And I thought, this is phenomenal. And not only just because that's my guy, and we've talked about this, behind the scenes. We've talked about this with a lot of people in respective manners, but it does put a perspective into what it takes to be able to really see the successes that we want. Obviously, with the bronze medal, we felt like there is a ceiling that's being broken. But in conversations that you still have with coaches, if you guys look at interview that friend of the show, Lance Kavanaugh of Great American Rugby, did with Mike Friday, pay to play is still a massive issue. And if that continues to inhibit the ability to be able to bring more participants at the youth level, well, that also affects how we're able to grow. There are professional leagues. It affects how investment goes over a 20, 30, 40-year period. It affects how we are able to compete at the next level and being able to recycle and replace players and really create sustainable clubs, communities, and drives where we can have these various formats that are held together on their own. So I thought this was a great look into it. Mick has been very adamant about this, and with his program Citizens Rugby Foundation and all the efforts that he's been doing, he's always been focused on trying to be a internal community-based business model. And when you look at the numbers like that, well, it hits, because even at that, if it's 50,000 on the youth, a lot of people say there's like 100,000 or so that are actively registered rugby players in the USA. but is that actually true? And then what the actual number of full rugby participants in both as casual fans as well as players as well. So these all play into the model and what we're able to do to be able to elevate it so that we can be successful at a Rugby World Cup, or we can be successful, which is what you're trying to do for 2031, or we can be successful at a home Olympics in 2028 and be able to really show that we have the gravitas as a 350 plus million person country with the highest GDP in the world by almost leaps and bounds to the next one. So, I just want to know, I thought it was interesting. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this. How do you feel it is with the participation and what that absolutely means for the development and the growth of rugby in that?
They're the wheat flour that you can eat. My name is GiftTime in Baylor. I'm here with Health Enhanced Foods. And I want to tell you about one of our best and most beloved products, our sweet white wheat baking mix. Now, this is the baking mix for those who are not really looking for something that's gluten-free, but they are looking for something that they can eat that is going to still be healthy and is not going to be dangerous. White flour is typically a very processed, incredibly bleached flour, and it's not good for you. It's incredibly cheap for a reason. Our sweet white wheat bread mix is whole grain, dairy-free, high in dietary fiber, free of additives, and is absolutely unprocessed and unrefined. With our sweet white wheat bread mix, you can feel like you're getting all the same rewards that you would get from poor white bread, but with all the nutritional value. You're able to still make your bread loaves or your cakes, your flat bread or your cookies, but you don't have to feel like you are going to be robbing yourself of good carbohydrates. You can get the sweet white wheat bread mix from healthenhancedfoods.com. Absolutely go impress your friends and family with the greatest bread while not making them feel like they have to be gluten-free at the same time. No dangers, full body pleasures. Go ahead and get yours today. Let's go.